Hi guys, it's Mrs. Erwin, and I'm here tonight to read a story to you. And I will introduce you to our puppies. This is Moxie, and then this is Ginger. So if you see them playing around while I'm trying to read, they're just getting ready for bed with me. All right, so our bedtime story tonight is called The Paper Heart, written by Amanda Erwin and illustrated by Brian Madden. There's the front cover for you. Wonder what this one's going to be about, Moxie. Let's see. Stop it, Molly! Stop what, Remy? Ugh, stop! Push. Mrs. Hare took a deep breath and walked over to Remy and Molly. What's the problem, friends? Moxie. Molly won't stop drawing on my paper, replied Remy through tears. It wasn't me, shouted Molly. Man, Ginger, it seems like they're having some problems. Mrs. Hare watched the interaction as she had many times. Tattling and frustration had erupted in her classroom like lava from a volcano. Her countless talks and reminders about how to treat your friends just weren't sinking in. Every time a problem came up, Mrs. Hare had to intervene and solve it. Of course, she didn't mind helping her precious students, but she had to teach them to be independent problem solvers so they could grow up to have caring hearts. Wait, she thought. That's it. Caring hearts. The next day, Mrs. Hare called the children to the carpet for morning meeting. Good morning, friends. Good morning, Mrs. Hare. I have to tell you, I was feeling pretty sad last night. I noticed a lot of our friends are fighting and yelling and getting upset, and that breaks my heart. The critters lowered their heads and stared at the floor. But, continued Mrs. Hare, when we have a problem, do we give up? No, everyone cheered. We stick with it. You're right, and I have something that will help us do just that. I think Ginger likes this part of the story, Mr. Erwin. Mrs. Hare pulled a red paper heart out from behind her desk. That's it, a paper heart? The critters were disappointed. You got it, friends. When you look at this heart, what do you think of? What do you think of, Moxie? What do you think of? Love, happy, respect. My mommy loves me. Yes, you are all right, said Mrs. Hare. When we see a heart, happy thoughts come to our mind. Ginger, lay down. There we go. Sometimes we forget about how our heart feels. We let our minds and bodies get really frustrated, and we never solve our problems. I think we need to start being more heart-focused. A few critters formed their hands in the shape of a heart and pushed them out as if to say, I love this idea. Mrs. Hare continued, the next time you feel sad, frustrated, confused, or angry, I want you to come get this heart. Hold it up in front of you and tell them exactly how you feel. And friends, if someone shows you this heart, get your ears ready to listen and your hearts ready to be respectful. After Mrs. Hare showed the critters where the paper heart was going to be stored, she resumed class, feeling hopeful. Mr. Erwin, I'm not sure if I know what hopeful means. Can you help me out with what hopeful means?
It means to have some hope.
Yeah, so I think it means that she's gonna be excited about what her kids are gonna do. Yeah. I hope they can follow directions. Let's see if they're brave enough to try. An hour passed without any issues, but suddenly Mrs. Hare heard, Stop it, Molly! Followed by, I'm not doing anything, Remy. Here we go again, Mrs. Hare thought. She watched with a quiet eagerness. Will they remember the heart? Stomp, stomp, stomp. Thud. Remy sat down on the carpet and started to cry. Mrs. Hare sighed. When will these critters stand up for themselves and share their voices? Oh, this isn't looking good. I hope Remy can learn our lesson. Mrs. Hare returned to her desk. She was about to ring the bell to get her class's attention, but she stopped when she saw something she couldn't believe. Elliot, one of the class's most energetic students, approached Mrs. Hare's bin and reached for the heart. When he walked the heart over to Remy, Remy said, I don't want that heart. It makes me sad when you cry and don't tell us what's wrong, said Elliot. He handed Remy the heart. Do you want to use this heart to share your feelings with Molly? Well, it looks like Elliot's trying. Maybe Remy will learn her lesson. Remy snapped her head to the side and folded her arms. Elliot sighed, but Mrs. Hare gave him a big hug and a big smile as he skipped the heart back to the bin. Good job, Elliot, said Mrs. Hare. I don't think Remy's ready to share her feelings yet, but you did a nice job using the heart. And thank you for sharing yours. After a few minutes passed, Mrs. Hare pulled Remy aside. Remy, you need to remember to listen to your heart. Elliot was brave to share his feelings using the paper heart. Remember, you can share your feelings too and solve your own problems. Share your voice. Remy nodded and walked back to work on her project. About 10 minutes later, Mrs. Hare heard Remy yell again. Stop it, Molly! She cried. I'm not doing anything, yelled Molly. Step, 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 step. Mrs. Hare braced herself for the thud, but something different happened instead. Remy reached into Mrs. Hare's bin and pulled out the paper heart. Yes, Mrs. Hare thought as she watched everything unfold. Remy slowly walked up to Molly. She held up the paper heart. I'm feeling sad and mad, said Remy. I don't like it when you draw on my paper. Molly stood there surprised. I thought it was funny, she said softly. It's not funny to me, said Remy, still gripping the paper heart. Please stop. I'm sorry, Remy, said Molly. I'll stop. Mrs. Hare watched in awe. I'm really glad Remy shared her voice. Friends, this is the magic behind the heart, said Mrs. Hare. Yay, the paper heart solved our problems, cheered Elliot. What magic did you sprinkle on it, Mrs. Hare? The paper heart didn't solve your problems, and I didn't sprinkle any magic on it. You guys did. Your words have the power to be magical. Our class just needed a little inspiration to use those magical words. When you can't get your mind or mouth to say what's bothering you, let your heart speak. Sometimes your heart can save the day. Just remember, when life gets you down, upset, scared, or broken, just listen to your heart and reveal the unspoken. Oh, I really love that story, Ginger. Well, thank you guys for listening tonight, and I hope that you sleep tight.